Welcome to Connecting Communities, a Beyond the Blog podcast generously funded by the Patterson Foundation. We're here to bring you insights and inspiration from the Suncoast Campaign for Grade Level Reading and more. In each episode, we'll explore how communities come together to support the success of children and families, and to empower the parents, caregivers, educators, and organizations who care so deeply about them. Thanks for joining us. Hello, my name is Leah Verier-Dunn, and today we're discussing book circles and the beauty of coming together to share the experience of reading and learning. Beginning in July, the Patterson Foundation will launch a new season of book circles featuring the new Civic Path, Restoring Our Belief in One Another and Our Nation, written by author Rich Harwood, who has a long-standing relationship with the Patterson Foundation. With us today to share more about the initiative is the director of the Suncoast Campaign for Grade Level Reading, Beth Duda.
Thanks for having me today. I'm really excited to be here.
Thank you. Welcome. Thanks for being here today. Beth, to get us all on the same page, can you tell us what is a book circle?
Absolutely. TPF, the Patterson Foundation, calls a book circle a gathering of people who have all read the same book, who gather to talk about the contents, to share their perspectives, and to kind of build community through the shared experience of reading the same thing.
I love that. It seems like a book circle is a very natural opportunity to build the connective tissue in our community. And I know the Suncoast Campaign for Grade Level Reading has sponsored book circles in the past for our 4-county community. Can you tell us more about those circles and their successes?
Our first book circle project was a book called The Power of Presence, and it was written by Joy Thomas Moore. And the book is a wonderful book that shares many different stories of women who have experienced single parenthood. And very inspirational, gave us a lot to think about, and the book itself gave us new information, new perspectives, but then the act of gathering to talk about the book and to share with each other what really resonated with us as individuals was transformative in a lot of ways. The second book circle that the Campaign for Grade Level Reading did was based on the book When You Wonder You're Learning, written by Greg Bear and Ryan Rudzitsky. And that book focused quite a bit on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and the way that show and the way the show was put together can continue to influence the way that we think about neighbors and community and building relationships. This book, by Rich Harwood, is a little bit different in style, but really gives us a great basis to think about what it means to be part of a community and how our voices matter and how civil discourse can help us come to shared aspirations. So rather than focusing on problems, we can really focus on what it is we want our community to be and how each one of us can play a part in making that happen. The book circles this time with Rich's book, TPF is actually supplying the facilitator for the book circles, which is great and something that we did not do with The Power of Presence and When You Wonder You're Learning. So I'm very excited to see how that is embraced by all the folks who want to take this journey with us.
That's so wonderful. It sounds like the book circles, each of the books in their own right, really found a way to get the community talking about things that matter, and then sort of offered an opportunity to take action on those next steps together, which I think is what the new Civic Path is truly all about.
Absolutely.
How do we take those action steps as a community, not just talk about things?
Yes.
But move forward.
And, the Patterson Foundation looks at strengthening individuals, organizations, and the community. And one of the best ways to strengthen our community is by having widespread participation. And these book circles are a way that anyone with an interest can participate. They can learn from each other. You said something about, talking about things that truly matter. as an adult, that's hard to find the instances when we can, talk civilly about things that really matter to us. So one of the things I value about the Patterson Foundation putting forth these book circles is it's an opportunity for people to come together, to have a structured conversation, to be able to learn from each other, and maybe just as importantly, to share thoughts and ideas, because it is that tissue building, those connections we build with each other that make a difference in our own lives and for the life of our community.
And the safety that structure creates for people to feel comfortable enough to share their honest thoughts and feelings and joys and fears and all of the things in between in a space that's really carved out with the intention to do that.
Yes, and to grapple. I have some beliefs of mine that are hard and fast and have been developed over years, but as the world is changing so quickly and there are things that I'm encountering new ideas and new things that are being put forth, and it's good to have a safe space to grapple with what I think about it, or to think I think one way and to hear somebody else's perspective and go, oh, wait a minute, perhaps I need to put a little more thought into that. So I really value that safe space, and having a book that kind of gives us the topics to talk about so that it can be somewhat structured and feel like we are truly making an impact on ourselves and our community.
I also really appreciate how a book circle, different than discourse on social media, let's say, gives you the grappling opportunity where you have those real-time responses where you have to sit and pause and think versus, just being powerful on that keyboard and saying whatever you think your feeling is. It really gives you that chance to maybe make a new decision about something, or consider what you're thinking, or consider what somebody else is thinking, while sensing each other's feelings and humanness and not being able to, hide behind a screen.
Yes. And I think it is very, very unlikely that we are going to agree 100% on everything with everyone we meet. But I think we absolutely can find the things that we share. And maybe there are differences between the way we'd like to see it approached or whatever, but if we can come to those places of our shared aspiration and be able to talk civilly, to say, well, I hear what you're saying. I don't see it exactly the same way. It's far better than, throwing social media, internet bombs at each other. I think the book circles give us an opportunity to build community rather than an opportunity to cut people down or tear apart our community.
Build walls. It really is a different kind of offering. The Patterson Foundation has committed to sponsoring this new book series for the new Civic Path, which is written by author Rich Harwood. And I know the Patterson Foundation has a longstanding relationship with the Harwood Institute. Can you tell us a little bit about that relationship?
Absolutely. Rich Harwood and the Harwood Institute helps community members become public innovators, basically to provide training in the way to identify shared aspirations and to encourage and guide positive steps towards building the kind of community that you'd like to see. So the Patterson Foundation has sponsored a number of people to go through the public innovator training. We have a special project right now in DeSoto County that the Harwood Institute is helping to guide DeSoto ahead, which is very exciting. And because of the relationship we have with Rich and the way that we have seen the Harwood approach help build community, it was an ideal opportunity with this new book coming out to share Rich's wisdom and ideas with others in our community.
And what I've noticed after reading the book is in this sort of concept and idea of forging a new civic path, the Patterson Foundation has so many parallels to the things the book is sharing that they already are doing in their work. Sometimes the language might be a little different, but really the ideals that are at the center of the book feel so parallel to the work that the Patterson Foundation does daily.
I think the approach that the Patterson Foundation takes, that we don't arrive with the answer. Instead, we want to provide a venue for people to share what they think, for the community to come up with their own aspirations. And to support that kind of work is very special. I honor the Patterson Foundation and their approach. You're right that the approach of the Harwood Institute is quite similar. So there's a natural partnership that comes as a result. And the Patterson Foundation, not only sponsors these book circles and putting them forth, but there are rewards for people who participate. The barrier of maybe not being able to purchase a book is taken away. The Patterson Foundation provides a new copy of the book to anyone who wishes to participate in a book circle. And at the completion of the book circle, which means that your circle has met at least 3 times to talk about the book, the Patterson Foundation gives a gift to the group of a $300 Pay It Forward award. So the group can identify the not-for-profit in our community, a not-for-profit that has a giving partner profile, and they can award that $300 to the not-for-profit of their choice, which is it's a great kind of cherry on the sundae of coming together and imagining the community that we want to live in. As a result of taking the time to do that, there's this gift you can give to a not-for-profit. Is pretty special.
What a fabulous way to immediately put into action what you've just been reading about, to be able to say, together we need to make this decision of, choosing a nonprofit that we all agree, shares similar aspirations to what we're hoping for, and that we get to just gift to them right away. What a cherry on top, just like
exactly.
You said.
Yes.
So will these book circles happen virtually, in person, a combination? Is it all 4 counties?
Yes to all of the above. There's something special about coming together in person and building relationships. So there absolutely will be the opportunity for book circles to meet in person. We know that that's difficult for some members of our community for a variety of reasons. It could be a childcare issue, a transportation issue, a flat-out time issue. So there will be book circle opportunities virtually. As a result of us offering both, some book circles may choose to do a hybrid where they, meet in person the first time and meet virtually the second time and maybe come back for the finale. I think it's up to them. I think if somebody is interested in being in a book circle, the action that they can take is to let us know they are interested. The Patterson Foundation has trained facilitators ready to accept people into book circles. So we're going to do our very best to schedule them at times that are convenient. And hopefully people not only will get the wonderful information from the book, they'll be able to build relationships that perhaps they haven't had before. And, as a result, our community will be stronger because of these new connections.
It sounds like, as you mentioned before, widespread participation is really at the forefront of creating these book circles, and it's helpful to have them available in so many ways and at different times of day so that we can ensure we're really reaching that wider audience. Is there anything you can tell us about what a participant could expect after they sign up? What will it kind of look like when they join the book circle?
Well, I can tell you my perception of what it will be. So once you say that you are interested, someone from the Patterson Foundation will reach out make sure that they're getting, the time of day and all of that you're available, and then invite you to be a member of an upcoming book circle. We'll arrange to have the book delivered to you, or you to pick up the book, so that you can, get a head start at looking what it is. And then each book circle gathering is, as I mentioned before, facilitated, so you'll know ahead of time what you're going to be talking about. Mm-hmm. Is it the first chapter, the first couple of chapters? These are the topics for discussion. There will be questions that are asked, but there's no requirement of, you doing X amount of homework, or you have to have a pithy answer for every question. If you want to be a part of it just by listening and participating with your energy, that's fine. And I think one of the beautiful things about book circles is that each one of them has their own dynamic, and each group is allowed to be who they are. And isn't that what we all want? So it's a good thing.
Absolutely. Is there anything else you think people should know as they're considering joining?
I think there's no downside to joining. So if you're thinking about it, why not take the leap? It's, 3 meetings. Even if it turns out not to be your cup of tea, it's a relatively short amount of time that you're committing to. I absolutely think the book has a lot of value and messages that will help individuals and our community. And it's a great way for us to get to know each other. So I say, if you're thinking about it, go ahead and make the call. Why not?
And now it's time for Big Picture, Small Steps. Beth, let's start with the big picture. What sort of long-term impact do you hope to see in our community because of the Patterson Foundation's support of these book circles?
I think big picture, what we're looking for is that widespread participation, that all of us have ideas, all of us have a vision of what we would like our community to be like. And this is a way, by participating in a book circle, to actually be a part of creating that. You don't have the whole responsibility of, planning everything out, but it's a way that you can participate, see that your voice matters, and connect with other people in our community.
Connecting is so important, I know, to us here at the Patterson Foundation, but in general, when we know that connection is really what helps us take those next steps forward, and focusing on what we share together is really a great place to put our effort. Now for the small steps. In the spirit of strengthening our community, what insights can you offer potential participants that may help them feel inspired or energized to join the book circle this summer?
So I think that each one of us has something to contribute. And it might be, as my grandmother would say, a highfalutin thought that would help people, but it also just might be a little bit of kindness or connection that we share with someone else. And it is that act of coming together and sharing something that helps us to build trust. On the wall of the Patterson Foundation, we have a sign that says, "Change happens at the speed of trust." I think, a step further in that is that trust happens through shared activities and shared experiences. So we can learn to trust others in our community and trust the community as a whole by doing things together. And a book circle is a great step of participating in a way that maybe you haven't participated in before, or making new friends if you are one of our folks that have been in book circles previously.
Thank you, Beth. There's so much value, as you've stated, in reading and learning together. So I appreciate you coming on the podcast today to talk about the book circles. I'm hopeful that this inspires people to join us this summer. And thank you so much for being here today.
It was a pleasure. And, we say all the time, reading is the key to succeeding, and it doesn't matter your age. So I encourage everyone, take this opportunity.
Thanks, Beth. To close, here's a thought from a kid in our region about today's subject.
Connecting with kids.
What is a book circle?
I personally think of it as when kids get in a circle and start when they read the same books together.
Connecting Communities is a Beyond the Blog podcast generously supported by the Patterson Foundation. To learn more about this podcast, the work of the Patterson Foundation, or the Suncoast Campaign for Grade Level Reading, please visit thepattersonfoundation.org and grade-level-reading suncoast.net. Thanks for listening.